You're right there, Mark here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I print out all this terrain for 1 kilo of filament and the pros and cons to how it all came out. Show you in a minute. Alright, so you may be asking, Mark, what on earth is this video about? And it's a bit of an experiment for myself to see what you can and can't do on a budget. So I got myself, not that long ago, an Ender 3 Pro second hand. And I've been talking to local people in the area, online, Twitch, YouTube, everything like that, about FDM printing with terrain when it comes to the wargaming hobby. And I was like, well, what's the actual cost of printing your own terrain out that you can use compared to buying it from manufacturers? So I've set myself the challenge of 1 kilogram of filament, PLA, from JO. They're one of the cheapest suppliers for your 3D printing needs I can find on the market for United Kingdom. And I've then gone, well, what am I going to print for 1 kilogram? What is the system I like the look of? And so on and so forth. And one thing that kept reoccurring is, what about Zone Mortalis style terrain? Alright, so we're going to transition over and I'll explain the mindset and how I went around it. Catch you in a second. Alright, so Zone Mortalis came to mind because there's a lot of people in my area that are playing 40k and 30k. Boarding actions is quite useful. Zone Mortalis confined spaces. So I went on to the Games Workshop website, I typed in Zone Mortalis, that's what I remember it is, and that's what it's marketed as. So you got Necromunda, Zone Mortalis kill team, I guess, but they're a bit different. I was like, oh, okay, let's have a little look at, oh my god, 5750. And then you got the tiles as well, 4750. I was like, oh, I'll go on to, you know, third-party sellers. So it is 20% cheaper. So what do you actually get in the set for, say, 50 quid? So I was like, okay, so you get 2 double doors, 2 single doors, 4 single walls, 6 columns, and a double wall. I was like, okay, cool. So, as I reiterate the challenge, I want to see how much of this style terrain I can print for 1 kilo. So the 1 kilo I am using is £15.99, £16 from Amazon. I'll put the link in the description to the printer and everything down in the video. So I went online and I found some files. Now with the files, I just want to be a little bit careful because I don't want the content creator to get in trouble, even though I don't think they would be. I'm just being careful, so I'm opening up the actual files as we speak so we can actually just see them. So I had these ones here. They're free. Didn't cost me anything. So far, I've got a printer, I've got the roll, got 3 files. So I started printing. And at the beginning, dialing it in, all this and all that, it was a bit of fun, inverted commas. A very big learning experience, okay? Do not rush it, and you can't think it's click and play. You do need to dial it in. You do need to sort out your heat settings, your distance from your feed and your print bed, and adhesion and heat, and so on and so forth. There's multiple different things. I may do that in future videos. But I worked out through the slicing software I could get quite a lot printed out. With the slicing software, it tells you, in theory, how many grams of the PLA it will use. And I worked out I could print out 2 of each main design. So 2 columns, 2 angles, 2 straights, 2 longs, 2 twin pieces, and 2 T-junctions with room to spare. So then I went back through and I was like, okay, we got the doors. Cool. So I printed out 2 sets of the double doors and 2 sets of single doors. I still had a little bit of room, which facilitated for some misprints. So we're going to transition over to this all on the table so I can explain the pros and cons and what I learnt through doing this process. Alright, I want to keep it as nice and simple and as, explained as possible. So one moment. Alright, so from this reel we got here, we printed out a fair old chunk of stuff. Alright, and I emphasize, I still had spare filament. Alright, even after printing all this. So, amazing. You got a lot of stuff here. I got 2 twins, I got 2 corners, 2 long straights, 2 columns, 2 little shorts, 2 T pieces, 2 twin doors, and 2 single doors. I think I had enough left over. I could have potentially done another 2 columns and another door, potentially. However, this is the pros of it all. When it runs sweet as anything. However, this is the full story. Failures. Alright. You can kind of guess how gutting this was when it started. I left it run overnight because there's a safety feature on it. Heat things, it will stop. It started blocking. The nozzle started going funny. You may not be able to see that on camera too well. Okay. But you can see I can squish it and it just basically, the nozzle and everything blocked up. Alright. This is what I'm trying to say. 3D printing isn't for everyone if you do not have the patience to sit around and fix things when things inevitably will go wrong. Okay. I had to dismantle it, the nozzle, everything once it's cooled, rip it apart, clean it, clip it, blah blah blah, and tidy it all back up. I was doing this at 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, doing it because it annoyed me. But anyway, when it does go beautifully well, when you've put that time and effort in, this is one of these things, you put time and effort in, it will come back. You don't put the time and effort in, no point. No point whatsoever. So one thing I did learn was you can sometimes print without supports, without bed adhesion supports. But I was getting sometimes a bit of peel up on the corners. So I started using brims. So it's these bits here, they're like a flap over the outside of the piece. And it just helps stick it down to the print bed better. And as you can see there, the quality from that, it is night and day when you've got it all dialed in. So this is so you can see starting blocking a little bit there. I didn't really catch on to it, but I've learned. This is a great thing about this hobby, this 3D printing hobby. You're always learning something new. So I've got 2 of these long pieces with little side bits on there. And they feel substantial. They feel chunky. They're not as detailed as the GW parts. But come on, so far it's cost me a printer, the PLA, and time. I'll explain the time in a moment. As you can see there, they are hollow as well. So there's no real weight to them, which can be a positive and can be a negative, because they can be quite easy to knock on the table if you're not careful. Then I've got the little columns. This is besides some super glue that I had going. It's not actually on it, but it's all good. Some 2 little straight bits. And these T bits. But cannot forget doors themselves. Really, really straightforward. Had to do a bit of a repair job, but it glues so quickly, it's a doddle to repair it. The same with this one here. Flows so nicely. Really, really happy. So I printed all that with spare from the PLA. Now, there is another con to 3D printing and FDM printing. It takes time. It takes time. I've got plenty of time though. So I doubled down. I printed out double. I got another roll. I printed out double. So I got 4 of every single piece. Alright. Because I just a kleptomaniac, like we all are in this hobby. Now, that's me masking over the problem of time. I worked out rough maths, all that I printed there, and the double, so that's 2 rolls, okay? 240 hours. Now, I know there's people out there that could be like, you can dial in settings, you can make it go quicker, and so on and so forth. My problem was, whenever I was making it go quicker, I was potentially increasing the likelihood of failures. So I was actually wasting time in the long run. So that's why I went to safer settings, a little bit on the slower side, just a fraction, only by like 5%. And my prints were coming out so much cleaner. So smooth. You can see there. So smooth. With the electric usage, it probably cost me a grand total, maybe not even a tenner in electric. So if we go back to the original challenge of how much terrain that I could print for 1 roll of filament, it's a lot, in all intents and purposes. This is, you could say this is close to 100 quid's worth from Games Workshop of terrain. The biggest con, I will reiterate, is time. It doesn't take you 120 hours to build the terrain from Games Workshop. However, it is whatever you value your time as. I set up the printer, I go to work, I go and do stuff, it's printing. I can be doing other stuff while it's going on. However, I am still waiting on that print. I know this is a bit of a weirder video, bit unorthodox, but I just thought I'll show it out there. Show people what you can do with a pretty inexpensive FDM printer, and you want to get terrain out? Come on, there you go. But as I said, links to the printer and the PLA and other things I've used will be in the description down below. If you have found this video informative of what you can do, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content from the channel. You'll be notified of when it's going up. And thank you so very, very much for watching through to the end. Social media links and affiliate links, so if you do want to get your gaming supplies for cheaper, are down in the description. But anyway, you take care of yourself, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Ta-ra!